What's up, theorists? Welcome back to the channel. I'm KevBot. You're watching Theory Hammer. You already knew all that, but today, what you didn't know is that we got another unit discussion video for you. And in this video, we're actually going to cover a few different units at once rather than a single unit. And so for this video, we're going to take a look at the Death Guard Bloat Drones, the Death Guard Defiler with the Lord of Virulence, basically, because you got to have that, right? As always, like, subscribe, hit Papa Nurgle's bell, check out the other videos, check out the other channel, leave comments, let me know what you think of these units, and all that stuff. Let's just start it right up here, my friends. We're going to start with the Defiler. This thing is my favorite thing in the Codex. Here's its datasheet. So it moves 8 inches, it's toughness 11, it's got a 3-up and a 5-up invuln, it's got 14 wounds, leadership 6, and OC of 5, a big OC of 5. It comes with a little battle cannon thing, strength 10, AP 1, 3 damage with lethal hits, D6 plus 3 shots with blast. Pretty good thing there. It also comes with a Reaper autocannon and a twin heavy flamer, and then its Defiler claws for combat. You do have some options. You can replace its flamer with a Defiler Scourge, which is another combat weapon. That's going to be strength 12, AP 1, 2 damage with 3 attacks. The Reaper autocannon, though, it can either be a twin las cannon or a heavy bolter, and I do kind of like the heavy bolter there. The las cannon is also good, though. But I like the heavy bolter because it's lethal and sustained, and I just like that. It's pretty cool. And it has twin linked as well. Yeah, you can then give it like the combi bolter, the combi weapon, you know, whatever, the little ancillary gun is there. This thing's 165 points though. And then for combat, it has 5 attacks at strength 16, AP 3, which is AP 4 because of affliction, D6 plus 1 damage. And you're also minus 1 toughness. So this thing's wounding anything that's toughness 9 normally on 2s. Goes up to a rhino, it's like, yeah, I wound you on 2s. AP 4, D6 plus 1 damage. It just rips shit apart. Now that's all well and good and stuff, but like, what's it do? Well, it takes away cover. Anything it shoots at, you pick one of the things, it takes away the cover for that. So anything else that shoots at that same thing, it's basically plus 1 AP. It can also move over friendly monsters and vehicles and terrain that's 4 inches or less in height. So, yeah, I don't know, dude. 165 points, you cannot go wrong here. Like, I don't even know what to compare this thing to. And it's not going to solo armies, you know, that's not what I'm talking about. It's that it's 165 points for toughness 11 with 14 wounds and a 5-up feel no pain, scary combat, decent shooting, and a good ability. The only reason we're not seeing 3 of these things is because the book is so insanely strong already that lists have been doing well without them. Does that mean they're bad though? Absolutely not. In fact, I'd argue that it's one of the best like vehicles in the Codex, point for point. Oh, dude, these things are nuts. Like, I challenge you to find me another vehicle in the game that's 165 points that is as versatile as this thing is. And then here, it's even better, like in this codex, it's even better because of Contagion. The main issue with the battle cannon, just over anything that has a battle cannon, is the AP, right? It's on the AP 1. But with Contagion, almost every weapon in your army is basically plus 1 AP, so on top of that, its main gun also has lethals, so it just wounds things more easily. You're getting more wounds through with better AP. 2 of these things shooting the same target, they actually do decent damage. Like the first one kills 2 Terminators by itself, right? The second one then kills another 3 or 4 because the first one took away their cover. So let me just compare this real quick to a regular Defiler. So Death Guard 1 versus regular Defiler. Regular Defiler, 190 points. Death Guard 1, 165. Regular Defiler, toughness 10. Death Guard Defiler, toughness 11. Regular one can get lethal or sustained or you know, whatever by taking damage possibly or not, but this thing has lethals built in. Not to its combat, but it has lethals built into its guns, and then the regular one can break in for 0 CP. This one just takes away cover. So on a straight comparison, which one would you rather have? The more expensive one that's easier to destroy with worse rules, or the less expensive one that's harder to destroy with better rules? And that's kind of what I'm getting at. That's why I've been so high on the Death Guard Defiler. It's just so fucking good for its points, dude. But let's move on. Let's go over to the Bloat Drone next. It moves 10, it's toughness 9, it's got a 3-up save, a 5-up invuln, 10 wounds, leadership 6, and it is OC 3. Now, we're specifically talking about the heavy blight launcher one here because that thing is awesome. Blast, lethal hits, 36-inch range, so it can shoot you from across the table, basically. D6 plus 2 shots, strength 10, AP 2, so AP 3, 3 damage flat. If it kills the last model in the unit, it can afflict everything around that unit. Everything within 6 inches on a 4+, you just are afflicted now. It's kind of weird how it works, so it's the last model that these just destroy. You just roll a single dice. If it's a 5+ or a 4+, if the unit that you destroyed was afflicted, then everything within 6 inches of that last model is also afflicted. So that's what these things do. For 100 points, And overall, it's a very good, reliable unit. D6 plus 2 shots with its gun, strength 10 AP3, so I'm going to include the affliction there. But with lethals, it's got good range at 36 inches, so you can kind of keep it back and have its gun shooting away. Unlike the Defiler, I don't have that much more to say though, because it's just good. It's just a good little cheap gun platform thing. And it's pretty durable for its cost, toughness 9, 10 wounds, 5 plus save. Think of it as a rhino with an invuln, okay? That's basically how hard it is to kill. But when you pair these with Defilers, you can have things hitting at strength 10, AP3, 3 damage with lethals, and then ignores cover. If you add in the Lord of Virulence, now they're rerolling hits with lethals at strength 10, AP3, 3 damage. It's just good. It's just good. Like, your Defiler shoots something, it's D6 plus 3 shots, it's strength 10, AP2, damage 3, lethal hits. You get 3 shots from a heavy bolter at you, maybe you take a heavy flame or maybe some other pitter-pat stuff. But then the blight launcher comes in, the heavy blight launcher. It's 4.5 to 5.5 shots on average. Everything rerolls hits from the Lord of Virulence, and that's not like a once-a-guy thing, so he can deep strike in and just give it out. You can have multiple Lords of Virulences that give it out to different things. If we have the enhancement in Morty's Hammer, we can give out rerolls once. Tendrilless Emissions, I'm pretty sure it's called, gives out reroll wounds of 1 as long as you can see the target. So like as long as the character can see the target, you reroll 1s against that target to wound. So it gives out rerolls to hit, rerolls 1s to wound. If you take a Defiler and a Bloat Drone and you shoot them both at a Predator, you get about 6 damage through with the Defiler itself. Maybe 7 when the heavy bolter shoots. Yeah, it's probably about 7 actually. And I totally didn't even think about rerolling 1s to wound, but call it 7 damage, right? So it takes away cover. Floaty thing shoots, right? After lethals and rerolls and all that, it's basically like 3 wounds. The Predator gets a 6-up save though, and we ignore cover, so it's like another 7 or 8 wounds. If we ignore the reroll 1s to wound, so basically saying that we're not in Morty's Hammer, we're still looking at 7 wounds there on average, and that's more than enough to take out the Predator, so expect like 13 to 14 wounds to a Predator when they both shoot together. But let's get a little more spicy. Let's shoot a Terminator unit. We get like 8 to 9 shots that we can reroll hits on, and we end up getting about 5 to 6 wounds from the Defiler, which will destroy about 2 Terminators, especially when you consider the heavy bolter and the potential for the flamers and some other pitter-patter stuff. In total, call it 2 and some change, and then it takes away their cover. So then Bloat Drone shoots. It's like 6.5 shots. You get like a lethal hit, and then you get like 5 wounds. So you're looking at like 2 to 3 more Terminators there, so you end up destroying about half the unit, and then your Defiler could charge and try to get a few more, but looks like it's not totally wiping out a Terminator unit there. So, not that, but probably anything short of that. Like, units without an invuln and such, like, they're going to take a whole lot of damage. If you shoot a Marine unit, you're going to destroy the whole thing. You'll kill like 9 or 10 of them from the shooting alone, so no combat required on the Defiler there. And if it is something like that, because it's 3 damage apiece, you're actually going to destroy something like 8 bound. You're going to destroy 9 of them, because mathematically it would be the same thing equivalent. So yeah, not that you can take them in 9-man units, obviously, but it's enough to destroy 6 8-bound and a character if these 2 things shoot at them. I just don't think that they're durable enough, honestly. But the nice thing here is that you can chain them together, kind of like how castigators work. So the first one is always going to suffer. That first Defiler, it's always going to suffer a little bit, yeah. But then the next 2 get ignores cover themselves, as well as providing ignores cover to other things like Bloat Drones. So they don't just annihilate tough targets like Land Raiders, but you can expect them to do damage to things reliably. Like, for example, if you combo a Defiler and a Bloat Drone at a Land Raider that also uses Armor of Contempt, you will do about 7 damage to it still. So the Defiler will do like 3, and then the Bloat Drone will do like another 4. And they're not designed to destroy super tough targets like that, but you can expect, almost half of its wounds to get taken out by some, what I would consider general purpose shooting. And then you have Death Shroud that teleport in and just charge it and blow it up anyway. But the main drawback is that the Bloat Drones are a blast weapon, and that's it. They have no combat, they suck in combat, and they have no way to fall back and shoot. So if you touch them, that unit is either safe, or the Bloat Drone isn't shooting at all. Defilers are a bit different though. They are quite threatening as a combat unit, just depending on the target. They don't have a ton of attacks, but like they're effectively AP 4 in combat, and they wound anything toughness 9 or less on 2s because they make it -1 toughness. So a couple of Defilers and Bloat Drones shooting, that's probably required there. In total, we're talking about, 795 points for 3 Bloat Drones and 3 Defilers. If you pair this with some Blight Haulers, it's like 1065. That's 60 wounds at toughness 9, 3-up save, 5-up invuln, and then 42 wounds at toughness 11 with a 3-up, 5-up as well. I think that's just hilarious. Just somebody please run that. Just please run that. And then you take like 3 units of Blightlord Terminators. Oh man. A list that I like that I'm actually toying with though is 3 Defilers, 3 Bloat Drones, a Prince, 3 units of Death Shroud, 2 with Lords of Contagion, 1 Lord of Virulence, some Poxwalkers, 2 guys like 2 Tallyman dudes in the backfield, and then a unit of Spawn. And then some random enhancements like the Prince has the 5-up Feel No Pain, one of the Lords has the crit on 5s, and then I think the other one has the Dev Wounds one. Pretty sure that was exactly 2,000 when I did that. But that's a fun list that I've been running. The backfield shooting is just annoying. The Terminators that teleport in, even though they like just die immediately afterward, they do so much damage to stuff, and they just absorb so much stuff. And then they just get attacked by Defilers and stuff. And then the Prince comes in, whacks him in the face as well. I've really been enjoying that list, but I'm gonna have to change it a little bit because I think that there's a couple tweaks it could use. You have to run Virulent Vectorum though in order to do the things I just said. And so while we're on the topic of detachments, let's go over which detachments do benefit these 2 units the most. First, you have Vectorium itself, and you have Putrid Detonation for 1 CP, and this just lets you auto-explode. Well, isn't that convenient? Both Defilers and Bloat Drones can now auto-explode for D3 extra damage on things. And I especially like this to suicide things, or when your Defilers are up close and personal and then end up dying in combat, you can just go boom and do a bunch of damage to everything around them. They then also have Disgustingly Resilient in this detachment, and isn't that convenient? It's like I can have a toughness 11, 14 wound model with a 5-up invuln. That's -1 damage or something. That's pretty cool. And I've also been running that Prince, like I said, so this only ends up costing me 1 CP almost all the time when I use it. It doesn't end there though. We also have Leech Spore Eruption, so if my Defiler ends up on like 2 wounds, yeah, let me just go ahead and roll 12 dice, do 4 mortals to you, and regain 4 wounds. That puts me at 6, so now I'm actually not -1 to hit anymore either. And so that's just a kind of a nice one to have because it repairs your stuff a little bit, and those wounds can actually go a little further because of the -1 damage potentially. The last one that we have though is Overwhelming Generosity, and this allows you to just shore up the number of shots that you have at a particular target. You can just re-roll the number of them. So you re-roll the number of shots and you re-roll your hits. That's pretty awesome. There aren't any enhancements here that help specifically, so nothing to report there, but altogether, when you put them into Virulent Vectorium, just really good. Like, you don't need Morty's Hammer, you can just use them here, and they're super fucking good. But if we moved on to Morty's Hammer, then we would have Tendrilless Emissions as an enhancement that we could use. And I did mention this earlier. It's for the Lord of Virulence, it gives him Lone Op, and he gives out reroll 1s to wound against anything that he can see, as long as the things within 3 inches of him are the things shooting it. And he can deep strike, so you can bring him down in a spot where he can see most things you care about, be a Lone Op while doing it, and then, get a random action in next turn, and give out all those rerolls and everything to all those tanks around him. So that's what the enhancement was designed for, I think. It's just like Bloat Drones, Plague Burst Crawlers, Defilers. That's what he wants to be around anyway, and you can only take it on him. For another strat, you have Relentless Grind, and it just lets you move through terrain. Decent enough, very good actually. The Bloat Drone has flying, which is almost a useless keyword in this edition, and the Defiler can already walk over friendly vehicles and monsters or terrain that's 4 inches or less in height. A lot of terrain is higher than that though, and so he would benefit from going straight through, and the drone could as well. Fly makes it a bit more maneuverable, but not much when it comes to terrain, so being able to move through terrain with Relentless Grind, pretty good stuff there. You technically have Drawn to Despair, that does exist, but you're not going to use it because you have a Lord of Virulence, because it does the same thing. Font of Filth also exists, which gives you Assault. I don't really like it that much, personally. It's a thing you have, okay? Put it that way. The thing you have. The final one that you have, though, which is really, really good, is Stinking Mire, which is -2 to charge your vehicles. It's great on both the drones or the Defiler. Like, if somebody deep strikes within 9 inches of you, now they have an 11-inch charge. Like, obviously, it's not great all the time, but even when someone's charging like 7 inches normally, if you can turn that into a 9, that could be quite significant. Their unit could fail the charge and then find itself just out in the open. It's just a good strat when people have longer charges to make. Yeah, getting some really good benefits from both of these detachments. And aside from those, there aren't any detachments that particularly benefit these guys, but you want to know what's kind of fucked up? That doesn't even matter. You can spend under 800 points and have a really solid base of shooting that can take on anything. You can take away cover, get reroll hits, have extra AP because of the contagion, at decent damage, with lethal hits. Like, half of it wants to be in combat, and it's the half that's more difficult to destroy because it's the Defilers. And so it kind of makes your opponent have to make one of those hard choices. What do you target? Do you go after the bloat drones that have potentially better guns and are a little bit easier to destroy? Or do you go after the Defiler that's charging towards you while its guns blaze away? The Defiler itself also, extra harder to destroy because toughness 11. Strength 10, very common. So it's a very significant breakpoint to be at when you're toughness 11. Because against things like it, regular Defilers, things that are strength 10, so I don't know, Forge Fiend shooting or something, they wound you on 5s. And then you combine that with -1 damage. And then you combine that with having a 5 bin ball. Like, you can start making things very, very tough. And I just love it. Takes away cover. That's great. It has decent guns with the Lord of Virulence supporting it. It has contagions, lethal hits, it's threatening in combat, 165 points. Like, it's real good. It's real good. I'm going to stand by this. I will die on this hill. The Death Guard Defiler is great. But then you have the Bloat Drone for 100 points. It's also really, really good. Really good shooting now. Decent profile, cheap for what it does, has the possibility to spike pretty hard, and it's especially terrifying against blast targets. One of these things can easily wipe out most, or I guess more like half of a Marine or Terminator unit. If you spike though, you're definitely wiping out more, if not a half of a Terminator unit. And I feel like maybe I should have included the Plague Burst and the Blight Hauler in this video, but that would have like doubled the length of the video, I suppose. So maybe I'll make a different video about both of those. Who knows? Not even I knows. But yeah, I do think that Vectorium is going to benefit these the most, especially if you take them together, because you're going to take bloat drones in absolutely every detachment, hands down 100% of the time. That's not a question. I'm saying that when you take these two things together, when you pair them together, they fit into 2 detachments the best. And I think that they synergize really well with each other. I love that the Defilers have that combat aspect to them as well, because you can't just run towards both of these things and try to, like, you know what I mean? You got to get past the Defiler first. It's tough. It's got abilities that can make it tougher with disgustingly resilient and stuff. It's just annoying because you're also trying to deal with Blight Lords. You're also trying to deal with like other shit that's getting up there and just getting in your way. So I do think Vectorium is the one. That's what I've been playing it in. Auto explode. You can regain wounds at -1 damage, like I've harped on a million times. Rerolling the number of shots, which I don't think I've used yet, but it exists. But it's all just very, very good. I love the fire base on top of having the Death Shroud because they can deep strike within 6 inches. I can have a single bloat drone fly up there or just kind of sacrifice something else like Spawn, Poxwalker, something that just wants to get up there, afflict a bunch of units, deep strike those guys in within 6 inches. They charge in, they kill a bunch of stuff. Like, they're awesome, dude. They're super duper awesome, and I love it. But I think that's going to do it for this video, my stinky friends. If you enjoyed the video, Plague Fist that like and subscribe button, ring Nurgle's bell, leave a comment, check out the other videos, check out the other channel, do all the things. But in all seriousness, I really do like Death Guard. They're awesome. They're super cool. I hate Chaos as like a faction, but I do like World Leaders and I do like Death Guard. They are pretty cool. Like, I do kind of like Thousand Suns too, but not as much as Death Guard or World Leaders. But yeah, Death Guard are awesome, and everybody should own an army. Theory hard, my friends. And I'll see you theorists in the next video.